Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Parent University. I am Stephanie Heilig, one of the Parent University administrators. I am very happy to welcome my good friend, Dr. Kimberly Johnson, to join us today. She is kind of all things the guru with what is A through G. She is actually the one that is on the video, and we will see her. I'm going to turn off my volume here, as we're kind of figuring all this out. I am very happy to welcome. Maybe I just hear myself in there. I don't know. We'll figure that all out. We're doing this live. It's brand new. It's something new that we've never done before, and this is pretty exciting. So we'll enjoy it. At any rate, this will be really fun. Couple things before we get started. One thing I want you to do is I'd like you to grab a piece of paper and I want you to write down some questions. So we hope we have some answers for you, but I would really love for you to write down your questions. And then if we answer them during our presentation, you could cross them off. But if we don't answer them during our presentation, I want you to know the chat is being saved. So we can see all of your answers that are in the chat. And then what we will do is we'll kind of circle back on our end and we will answer those either in an email if it's a specific question that we can answer, or we'll kind of circle back at another event and make sure we get those answered. So we're really happy to be here with you. I also want to let you know that any questions that are specific, so if you're going to put them in the chat and they're a specific question and we can't answer it, we'd really like to keep most of our answers really general. So things that are kind of for the good of the group. And we're going to stick with our topic today, which is really on what is A through G, specifically applying to high school. So Dr. Johnson, I don't know if you want to say hi and welcome.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. So happy to be here. Thank you so much, Stephanie, for inviting me.
Of course, happy you could join us, which will be great. So let's start off. I want to find out who's here in the chat. So if you're a parent, that's great too. You can still tell us what school or schools your children are at. If you're a community member, you can let us know that too. But I'd love to fill the chat right now with you letting us know. So if you're a student, tell me what grade you're in, and then just maybe your school name. That'll be helpful. And if you're a parent, let us know where you are. So we'll kind of wait for that. There's a little bit of a lag in the chat, but I'll wait till those come on and then I'll kind of give you a shout out. So love to know who's in the room as we get started so we kind of know who to tailor our questions for. So we've got a parent at Bancroft, which is great. We're waiting for a few more to come in. I know there's 52 of you. Come on, y'all. Don't be shy. Put it in there. I'm so happy you've all joined us today.
Yeah, let us know who you are and where you're coming from.
For
what
sure.
What school you're at. What grades are you in?
All right. We got Milliken, Marshall, Stanford. You got to let us know what grade, people. Come on. Give me some grades. Washington, John Muir. Fantastic. Keep it Cubberly. There we go. Keep it coming, everybody. Want to know where you're from. Parent, Wilson High School. So that's good. We've got some middle school, high school, Stanford sixth grader. Thank you for joining us early, you sixth graders. Yes. I love that. You'll need to get started early. You'll be grateful for today. 12th grader at Wilson. Fantabulous. Keep them coming. I don't see 52 texts in here. I just don't. 60 of you. Stanford, grade 8 parent. 8th grade, Milliken senior. Cool. Really, really good. I should say, by the way, as these are coming in, we will save this. So probably tomorrow when I get back into the office, I'm going to take all of these the videos and I'm going to actually post them to our Parent University website. So if there's something you want to see, you can go back and review it. You can encourage other people, some of your friends, to go and watch it if you find it really helpful and useful. So that will be really great. That's something that will live on our website at least for a while. So that's great. All right, we've got some Rogers, John Muir, Newcomb, Keller, Washington, another Washington parent.
Lots of middle schools.
Yeah, we got Marshall, Milliken. This is good.
Getting that information early.
Yeah, I like this group. 8th grade. Yeah, all right. I think we're good. We're up to about 66 people. What I'd like you all to do, if you're just joining us, we're about to get into our video, and that's about 10 minutes long. So again, you're writing down some of your questions on a piece of paper. We're going to do our best to answer a lot of them. But I think we're about ready to watch our video.
Right,
so
let's go.
Put your school grade level in the chat. If you're a parent, let us know. We're going to go straight to our video. So let's get started. We'll be right back in about 10 minutes.
Good evening, families. My name is Dr. Kimberly Johnson, and I am the Program Administrator over high school counselors working out of the Secondary Schools Office. This will be a short presentation to provide you with some information on graduation A to G criteria, and college planning. LBUSD graduation requirements are very comprehensive and exceed the minimum requirements in the areas of math and history to apply to a UC or CSU school. If your student follows the LBUSD graduation requirements and earns a C or better in these required courses, they will be eligible to apply to the CSU or UC schools. A through G courses are the minimum required classes to be eligible to apply to a University of California or Cal State University institution. To meet minimum admission requirements, a student must complete these courses with a letter grade of at least a C or better. Counselors meet with students to discuss their courses for the following year in February and March. Make sure that you have a good understanding of your student's pathway and the courses that are offered for their selected pathways. When discussing classes with your students, make sure that you keep the following points in mind. The level of rigor that your student can handle based on their extracurricular activities such as sports, dance, band, cheerleading, or an after-school job. With that said, help your child select classes that they are interested in exploring at a deeper level. For example, if your student is interested in being a doctor, scientist, or engineer, then AP courses in the field of science, such as AP Biology, AP Physics, and AP Chemistry, may be good choices. Some universities give college credit on AP courses taken. However, credit is based on AP exam scores of 3 or higher. This is highly dependent on the institution, so make sure that you have an idea of which schools your student may be applying to as a guide. Also know that not all colleges and universities accept AP courses no matter what score your student earns. For instance, some of the military academies. Dual enrollment courses offered at surrounding community colleges are opportunities for your student to experience a college course while attending high school, either on the high school campus or at the college where the courses are offered. Some of the benefits are that students are able to experience an actual college class that is taught by a college professor and have an in-college experience as a high school student, as well as an opportunity to take a deeper dive in a course that your student's high school may not offer. College credit and high school credit can be earned simultaneously. For these courses, parents and students should also be careful when selecting classes based on what is best for your student. Dual enrollment courses go on your permanent college transcript. In the next couple of slides, I will talk about a few ways to prepare your student for college at each high school grade level. Seniors, in August, your students' college list should be finalized and they should be working on finishing up applications and essays. Make sure you review your students' transcripts for accuracy. It is very important to double check to make sure the courses your student took are actually reflected on the transcript. Request letters of recommendations from counselors, teachers, and/or community leaders. Allow for at least 3 weeks prior to the deadline for college and scholarship applications. Continue to meet with college reps to determine more information about colleges and possible college scholarship opportunities. Prepare for FAFSA by gathering information required. Even if you think you won't qualify for financial aid, know that for many university and community scholarships, a FAFSA application must be on file. Juniors, the PSAT and SAT exams are typically taken as juniors in high school. Check with your school or the College Board website to determine the dates for these exam administrations. Some schools are no longer requiring the SAT, so check the schools that your student may be interested in to determine if the test is required. Also know that some schools do not require the SAT for the application process, but may still require the exam for certain majors and scholarships. College fairs are a great way for students to learn more about schools and have an opportunity to interact with college recruiters for more in-depth information. Encourage your student to check in with school counselors regularly. This is important in the development of a more personal relationship so that when counselors are asked to write letters of recommendation of support for college or scholarships, they can really speak to the student's strengths and abilities on a more personal level. Look at the current FAFSA requirements to determine exactly which documents you will need to apply for next year. Begin looking for scholarships and create a file cabinet designated by each month so that you can be ready for scholarship applications next year. Most scholarships are offered during the same time each year. Sophomores, explore deadlines for PSAT to determine if your child will need to take these exams. Meet with your child's high school counselor for help in making some of these decisions. Research various financial aid options. Know the difference between grants and loans. A grant is equivalent to free money that you do not have to pay back. However, a loan will have to be paid back typically 6 months after your student graduates from college. Attend college fairs in your area and talk to college representatives about the programs their school offers. Visit college campuses of interest during vacation or other family travel time to see firsthand what the campus is like. Look around your area for a possible job, internship, or volunteer opportunities. Freshmen, think about what you would like to accomplish in the next 4 years. Make sure that you have an idea of the required courses. Think about the type of career or job you may be interested in based on your current interests. Taking an online interest survey may be helpful. Encourage your student to introduce themselves to their counselor. Join the dance or sports teams or other clubs or activities based on your student's interests. Explore whether taking the PSAT or the SAT is right for your child based on some of the colleges that they may be currently researching. Some colleges no longer require these exams, however, some still do. Explore summer opportunities by getting a job, an internship, or a volunteer position that will assist in learning about a field of interest. To determine the actual cost of college, your family should create a college budget so that you and your family know exactly what you can comfortably afford. Your budget should include all college expenses, including tuition, room and board, travel expenses, as well as projected spending money your student will need to live away from home. Scholarships are another example of free money that you do not have to pay back. There are various scholarships available based on academic merit, sports, ethnicity, etc. There are scholarships available for virtually everything under the sun. You just have to do your research and plan. Finding scholarships and applying for them is like a job. If you are dedicated to finding scholarships, it will result in money. There is a great deal of money that goes unclaimed every year. Students will need your support with researching and applying for scholarships. Also, make sure to check with the colleges and universities regarding the scholarships they offer and the criteria. The Western Undergraduate Exchange, short for WUI, allows residents of member states to enroll in participating institutions at a reduced tuition. For example, certain colleges in Arizona, Colorado, Hawaii, Washington offer these benefits. Community colleges are also a good option. Transfer students typically get into more competitive schools as transfers from community colleges, which is another method to cut down on college costs. Community colleges are also great options for various certificate programs and trades.
All right. Wow, that was a lot of information, but Dr. Johnson, you really put together a really great presentation. So
Well, thank you.
I appreciate that. I have a feeling a lot of parents took down some notes, and I know that they have some questions for us.
Okay.
So what I'd like you to do first, parents, since you're tuning in, I want you to go through your list of questions, cross off anything we covered, write down any more questions that you have. What we'd like for you to do is start to put them in the chat. We're monitoring a couple of different feeds. We are monitoring the Kamai feed, we're monitoring our Spanish feed, and we're also monitoring our English feed. So what we're going to do now is we're going to try to get through as many questions as we can. Now, there's about 100 of you watching, at least on our English feed. So a couple of things that we can and can't do. Anything that's super specific, maybe for your child, we probably can't answer that on our YouTube feed. Again, remember, this is going to be live and saved and posted on our website, but that doesn't mean we can't contact you later on, especially if you send us an email, so we can get back to you on that, or you can call us. What we can do is kind of look at the questions and look at themes that come in, and those are the questions, kind of think of ones for the good of the whole group that would be really helpful. I think one that Dr. Johnson and I were kind of talking about was with the ACT. So some of you have heard probably there's PSAT, there's SAT, and then there's ACT. So I'll kind of toss the ball over to Dr. Johnson, let her maybe talk us through ACT a little bit first.
So ACT is also available. Most colleges and universities that require or ask that a student takes ACT are typically schools that are out of California, that are usually schools back east. But prior to COVID, a lot of these exams have kind of been optional, as I mentioned in the video. So a lot of our universities are no longer specifically offering them for college admission, but may possibly require them for various majors. So our district is very, we really encourage our students to apply to or take the SAT or the PSAT, because we actually offer it here at our schools, and our parents don't have to pay for those exams.
Well, that's, yes, and I know I have two high schoolers, that is wonderful. So yes, and I know if you can take them repeatedly, but they are at a cost, and
Yes.
it's on a Saturday, and it's wonderful that our district does that. So I'm looking through our chat. It looks like we do have a question about dual enrollment, and the question says, which high schools offer a dual enrollment program?
Well, that's a good question, because we just last week, we started a new dual enrollment, early dual enrollment program. And those courses are actually being offered at across our district at 11 of our sites. And we also have the Browning program that has the dual enrollment courses embedded and into the school day, and a lot of our students in that Browning program will graduate with an AA degree. Now, Browning is the only school that offers that AA degree, but dual enrollment classes can be taken at any community college, and we of course have a partnership with Long Beach City College. So a lot of our students go over to Long Beach City to take dual enrollment courses, but just like I mentioned, just this year, last week, we are actually offering a lot of those courses on our school site.
That's amazing. And a shameless plug, I've been to Browning. That high school is amazing. So those
Yes,
of you
it
middle
is.
schoolers out there, take a look at Browning Site Night. You should go
Yes.
visit it. That kitchen, I could just live in the kitchen. It's really remarkable. And that is a great program. Is it true, and I'm thinking about the questions, not necessarily in the chat, but can middle schoolers take some dual enrollment courses through Long Beach City too, like for enrichment?
Middle schoolers can take dual enrollment classes for enrichment, but they will not count for high school credit.
Okay. But there's some pretty good like programs. I know there's some classes like study skills and
Yes.
things like that. Yeah. So
Yes.
if you're a middle schooler, and I know we get the question sometimes, parents want to know how a middle schooler can increase the rigor, right? Or just, hey, I'm in the summer and I'm looking for some courses. I think they can contact City College, and I know that they have some courses there. So
Yes.
and you'll hear us saying this a lot tonight. talk to your counselor.
Yes, absolutely.
Talk to your counselor at your school. Yeah. All right. So I'm looking through the chat. We have some high school choice questions, which we're not going to get to in this particular parent university. That one we can always answer later, but we do have one. I'm not sure if it's about high school choice, but I do think it has to do with this. How much flexibility do students have in choosing classes when they're enrolling in specialized programs? So I think they mean probably thinking about electives. And so maybe you could talk a little bit about that with the specialized programs in terms of electives and things.
Yeah, typically there's a course of study that our students follow. There are some options for electives. So the best thing to do is, if you are looking at a school, possibly applying to go to that school, the best thing to do is to really research and look at that course of study to see exactly what those options are that your student will have, because that would probably be an opportunity for your child to decide what program is best, you and your child, to figure out what program is best for them, so that you go in and and you've done the research and you know exactly what electives are offered that are within that course of study.
I think that's great advice. And I know that as we have families that are beginning to think about high schools, for all you middle schoolers that are with us, and then some high school students too that are thinking about that. If you're in middle school, I think that's really important and great advice, because the programs are there. You're going to get English, you're going to get math. It doesn't matter what program you're in. They're going to level those programs for the rigor of the program. But I think also a really great thing to think about is being able to take those AP courses to increase your rigor. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like I mentioned in the video, it's so important to just make sure that when you're looking at having your student take those rigorous courses, your students are looking at those courses that they're interested in, so that and when I say interested in taking a deeper dive with the subject matter. So that's really important.
I think that's really good advice. So if you're sciencey, you're going to want to take some AP science courses.
Yes.
So my understanding is there's like chemistry, but then you could take AP chemistry.
Yes.
The following year. Yeah,
Yes.
I think that's really good advice. And I think you all will find, we have a lot of middle schoolers with us. So, right now the middle school is telling you what to take, but in high school, you have a little bit more choice. I mean, the electives are there, but you can kind of decide, do I want to take a deeper dive into this? And by no means are we saying you have to pick your major, but I do think it makes high school a little bit more interesting as you begin to choose things on your own.
High school should be an experience. It's a journey. This is a time when your students can explore and understand where their strengths are, and because obviously it's preparation for college. So you want them to have an enjoyable experience and not be so stressed out, trying to meet all this criteria so that they can get into XYZ university.
Well, I think that's great. I'm going to wait for some more questions in the chat, but I want to see if we have some coming in from the booth a little bit that we can dig a little bit deeper into. And again, those of you parents that are on with us, there's like 100 of you on here. We want to know what your questions are so we can answer those. But let's go to the booth. All right. Great question. So let me shoot that one out there. The question is for summer school. Let's say you're in classes and you don't do so well. You want to repeat a course, or you need to take a course over. Or you're going to take it for summer school. Does that count for your A through G requirements?
Yes, it does. We have several course offerings at all of our high schools, our comprehensive high schools. And so, for instance, if your student is taking, let's say they took geometry and they didn't do so well, let's say they got a D in geometry second semester. Well, they can take geometry in summer school or via Apex, because we also have Apex, which is an online program that our students are really getting into. And so they're able to take Apex courses, and some of the Apex courses are actually offered during the school year. So they can, in addition to, their general classes that they're taking, they can also, if you go to your counselor, you can add, or your student can add an APEX course and remediate that grade, because as I mentioned, for A to G, you have to have a C or better for it to count.
That's good. So a D won't, C minus doesn't matter because the minuses don't count, C or better.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. We have a couple of questions around electives. Can students change their electives at school? Are they allowed to change an elective? Now, I'm unclear if they're taking it currently or if they're thinking about taking it for the following year, but something about changing electives.
Is this for high school?
I'm assuming it's for high school.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking.
Well, there's typically, like I mentioned before, a course of study where they have a couple of options. And so if those electives are within their pathway, there shouldn't be an issue. So what typically happens when your student meets with the counselor in either March or April, at that point, they decide which classes they're going to take. Now, sometimes there is an issue if, they select a class and then let's say by August, they're like, oh, I don't want to take that anymore. If there's space, typically they can take the course and switch, but sometimes there's a spacing issue where students aren't able to switch because of space. So that's why it's very important to review the materials that are coming home when it comes down to course selection, to make sure your child is selecting the course that they really want to be in, because sometimes with our master schedule, it's very tight and it makes it sometimes difficult to switch.
Okay, well, that's great advice. Now, here's a question. I'm just going to piggyback off of this. I'm in a pathway. I want to take an elective. I can't take it. Either the elective is a pathway elective that I'm required to take. Can I take a different elective? For example, I want to take AP Psychology at Long Beach City College. Can I take some kind of a psychology course? And it
Yes.
probably wouldn't be AP.
It wouldn't
I'm
be
assuming.
AP, right?
Okay.
It would be a psychology, maybe like a Psych 101. Yes, as long as you complete the dual enrollment form and you apply to Long Beach City, and it fits within your schedule, so it would either be an after school class or an online class, then yeah, you could definitely take that. And as long as it's within the parameters of our dual enrollment list, you will get not only the 3 credits from, or I should say units from the community college, but you'll also get 10 high school credits of elective credit.
Okay, well, that's good. Now, the question is probably going to come. I'm surprised it hasn't come yet because I would have asked it. Is it better to take an AP course at the high school or do a dual enrollment course at a city college if you can, if you had the choice? If you're a student in high school, what would be better, or pros and cons?
I think you really need to look at your student and your student needs, and what is going to be best for your student. They're both good options, but let's say your student has a job, then they're not going to be able to take dual enrollment after school because they're working. Or maybe your student doesn't have room in their schedule for an AP. So it just depends on your student and the class, because there may be a class that is offered in dual enrollment that is not an AP class. So you kind of have to look at that and just really decide what is best for your student. And the best person to talk to about dual enrollment and AP courses would definitely be your counselor. That is your first line of defense when you're trying to figure out, if you need a little support. You want to make sure that your counselor is on board and kind of evaluates where your students' grades are, and you want to definitely move toward that to figure out what's best for your student. Because you also, in maturity is another issue, because when you're taking a college level class, that's a college level class. So there's it's permanent, it goes on your permanent record, but then you do get to decide whether or not you want to add that class. There's a form that we have, and you are able to decide if you want to add that class to your Long Beach transcript or not, but it still counts on your on your college transcript. So you want to really think very carefully about taking dual enrollment versus AP. Now, with one of the other things that I don't want to forget, dual enrollment, depending on what university or college you're going to, that's going to be an automatic class, provided it's a C or better, that your college will, depending on what college you take, they're going to take that class. An AP, it really kind of depends, because sometimes it's based on your score. So if you score under a 3, your college may or may not, well, they're not going to take it because it doesn't count. But even if your child scores a 3, 4, or a 5, depending on what college that is, they may not take it. So you really have to do your research and kind of decide whether or not it's going to be beneficial based on the college or universities you're looking at and what's going to be the best option for your student.
I think that's really good advice. I have 2 high schoolers, and I think each of them is different, and looking at them individually, case by case basis. And I think sometimes it's hard for parents as they're trying to prepare for 4 years into the future, trying to tell your kid to do it. I mean, the good news for college, there's a college for everybody, right?
Absolutely.
There is. I mean, you know, there's so many colleges out there. For those of you that are in high school now, you know that. Those of you that are middle school, you'll see. I mean, there's a lot, and there's not a one size fits all.
No, not
so
at all.
That part is good. We have a question in the chat regarding LBCC. Is it free? And this is coming from our Spanish feed, so that's really cool. Is Long Beach City College free for 2 years, or do we need to apply for scholarships?
Well, we have this wonderful program with Long Beach City and with Cal State Long Beach. It's called the College Promise. So if you decide that you're going to go the community college route, you definitely need to go to Long Beach City, because it is free for 2 years and you do not have to apply for anything. It is automatically free, provided you graduated from a Long Beach Unified High School.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Did you hear that, parents? Free. Kids, free. So all these other kiddos going into debt, it's free in 2 years. And my understanding also is you can, I know from the Choice Fair, we did get some feedback from parents regarding some of the trades, right? You can go to Long Beach City, you can get a certificate to kind of go right when you're done with 2 years, go right in and to the workforce and work.
Yes, absolutely.
And you haven't paid for college.
That's
you don't
right.
have debt.
They have several certificate programs for our students. It's fabulous.
Yeah, and it's a great resource, and I know that we work closely with them, so that's wonderful.
Yes.
So we answered that question, which is really, really great. Let's see here. We have some questions regarding some of the college essays, like when should you start? This is from an 11th grader. Should they start in 11th grade? Like what would be, and I would say 10th grade, 9th grade, maybe going back a little bit. I know we had a couple of the slides on what to do, but if you're in high school now and you're thinking, oh boy, I know, like right now, if you're in 12th grade, you've either already submitted or are going to submit some college essays. When should they start doing that? How can they start maybe thinking about writing those all important essays?
I think it's a good idea to begin your junior year. So what that means is that you should have a general idea of what colleges you're looking at. Because if it's a private school, then you will apply on Common App. And so there will be various essay prompts that you'll have to complete. So you want to take a look early to figure out exactly what those essay prompts are. And then you also want to look at, let's say you're interested in going to a UC, you want to look at those prompts, and you want to start in your junior year, because all things wonderful, if you start your senior year and you have a few drafts of those essays, you are in really good shape. And the other thing you want to consider too, and I know this wasn't asked, but this is so important, because and this is for you parents, financing a college education is a feat. Now I have two children, I should say, they're not my students, 2 children. One is almost done with college, the other one has graduated already. So it is really important in the same vein as those essays, because some of those essays you can cut and paste and use for scholarships.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah, so
That's
you
huge.
definitely want to get a jump on those college essays for sure.
Well, that's great advice. And I have a high school
Yeah.
senior. I get it. Could it also be safe to say, because I know we have quite a few middle schoolers on with us, as a middle school kid, I think it's safe to say that looking forward to college, they're not just interested in great grades. Certainly that helps, but I think it's important for kids to start doing things that they love, but also for volunteering. We had a question earlier on service hours. Are they still required? I know it depends on the pathway. How can a kiddo in middle school or high school kind of look for that, besides obviously talking to their counselor? But what advice would you give to those kids? Because I know many colleges don't just want, a 4.0 kid who's just studied in the book. So
that's right.
What are some pieces of advice, nuggets from somebody who knows it has two, college kiddos, but somebody who also works with kids a lot? What advice would you give to those parents?
Well, just like you said, you want to do things that you enjoy and that you're interested in. And that's just across the board with everything. So we have this wonderful thing called Google.
What?
Yeah.
Google.
See, we didn't have that when we were in school.
No, we sure did not. No, we didn't.
But you really want to just kind of take a look at your interests. There are a lot of career inventories that are online. Take a look at that. We have a lot of volunteer websites for students, and sometimes you can volunteer at different, like, I'll just give an example, like the Parks and Recreation. There are volunteer opportunities for our students at the Parks and Rec.
Cool.
Also and for younger students.
Mm-hmm.
And then also there are opportunities at the SPCA. So if you are interested in animals, sometimes your parent does have to come with you. Like there's this awesome program where you're reading to animals. So if you like animals, you can sit there and read to them, but your parent has to be there. But there is an age requirement for that. But you really just have to look at yourself, look to see what you're interested in, and really get in there and start volunteering. You can volunteer at church. You can volunteer at the school. I mean, there are a lot of things you can do. If there are green teams that are at middle schools. Start a club at your middle school. Definitely start a club in high school that you're interested in. That's major. But there are a lot of clubs in middle schools. Join clubs. Find out what you're interested in. Get to know people, because as you said, colleges really want well-rounded kids.
Yeah,
they really do, and that even means the top ranked tier schools. They want to know that you are competitive, but part of that competitive spirit is a well-rounded student that can get along with a lot of people and that can be a team player.
Well, I think that's great advice. I know I was going to add to when I taught middle school for a long time, thinking about our service learning projects, but I think also there are a lot of, I don't know if parents are always looking at the peach jar flyers that come home, because there's a lot of stuff that's on there like, hey, we need volunteers, or, we're looking for this. I know, talking to your counselor, talk to your teachers, get out in the community. Don't be afraid to, I always tell kids, like, you don't know what you're capable of till you actually go out and try it. And listen, if you don't like it, okay, you don't like it.
Right.
But then maybe you're not going to enter a pathway where that's the focus, or you won't take a class, or et cetera. So I think it's really important to kind of put yourself out there. It's volunteering, right?
Yes.
So it's not a job. You're just kind of trying it out. And I think that's important.
Absolutely.
We have a question. I think it goes back to what we said in the summer. Do AP courses and college courses taken during the summer have the same value? So...
Okay, AP courses are not offered in the summer.
Right.
Those are just during the school year. But yes, for dual enrollment courses, you can most definitely take a dual enrollment course in the summer.
And they have the same value.
They have the same
value in the summer. And I know that oftentimes kids will do that, either because they're home, right?
Yeah.
Parents are working, so they can do that. And some are asynchronous, some are in person.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
So I know sometimes in the mail, we'll get a thing for City College and give you a list of courses, and they'll say for enrichment. And for those of you joining us in middle school, I know your counselors they'll have a list of that information as well. So that's helpful. I'm waiting for some more questions in the chat, but I do have one. How can middle schoolers kind of prepare? So we're not just thinking high school, but kind of beyond. We're thinking, because we have quite a few middle schoolers. Now you kind of know what A through G is. That'll be your requirements. What can a middle schooler do to prepare for high school, and then getting them prepared for college?
Learn how to study. That's huge, because a lot of times with our middle schoolers, they kind of get through middle school and they don't study. But then when they get to high school, it's like, whoa, wait a minute. So create really good study habits. And that kind of goes back to college courses, because there are a lot of study skills courses that are offered in college. That's a really good place to start. A's and B's, get good grades, because once you start those habits early, getting A's and B's, going home studying instead of turning on the TV, and well, not TV, but YouTube.
It's YouTube. It's YouTube. It's Snapchat. It's Instagram.
Yeah, get off of all that stuff.
You got it.
Do some things that are going to help you for the next level, which is studying, researching things. Like I mentioned before, go online, do some career inventory. So if you're going to go online and you're on YouTube and all this other kind of stuff, unless it's YouTube where you're learning something like this YouTube channel.
Yes, exactly.
But you want to make sure that you really create great study habits when you're in middle school and focus on getting A's and B's.
I think that's great. That's excellent advice. And as a former middle school teacher and working at high school, I 100% agree. Also, I will throw this in there. A lot of the colleges have virtual tours, right?
Absolutely.
So you can research them. So first of all, California is fantastic. We've got a lot of resources here. But if you go online, I know you can tour colleges virtually. Yes. They have the Zooms where you can join, you can ask questions, you can take a look at courses of study, you can chat with admissions officers. So all of you, so this goes for middle schoolers and high schoolers joining us. Those are free.
Yes.
I think the pandemic that came out of the pandemic, and it was a good thing. And there are, since you're on YouTube, maybe you don't want to go to Google, but a lot of them are on YouTube.
Yes,
and I've enjoyed the ones from a student perspective, like a day in the life of a.
Yes.
Those are really good and can be really helpful. So if you're looking for something fun, you're trying to get off Instagram, that loop, and don't want to go the rabbit hole of Snapchat, those are really fun.
Yeah.
And I think they give you a kind of an idea of a snapshot into the collegiate world, and you can kind of see what that's like. So we're kind of lower on the chat. I'm going to see if the booth has any more. I'm going to keep the chat open for a little bit more time if there's any questions, but we'll go to the booth and see if we have any there. And I know we're kind of at the tail end, so we'll see what other questions we have. Sure. So the question is coming in about transfer credits from other districts, or if you switch schools, like from school to school. So within Long Beach Unified, you're okay. But let's say you're coming in and you're from another district. How do those transfer credits work?
So what happens if you're coming in from another district, whether it's in-state or out-of-state, you bring in your transcript. You make sure that when you leave your school, you have a transcript, because that way you can give it to your counselor when you enroll, so that they know exactly what you took, so that you can make sure that you're taking the right courses to tack on to what you've already taken. Now, here's another caveat. What if you are, because I think this is probably more in line with what we're doing, what if you leave, let's say, mid-semester? Well, you're not going to have an ending transcript, but what you will have are transfer grades. So you want to make sure that you get those transfer grades, and then when you enroll in the new school, then you have those grades, and then our counselors match those courses up as succinctly as possible to make sure that your transfer grade is averaged into your new class.
That's really important. So that's more, I think, the student and the parent advocating for themselves, because I think that's really important.
Yes.
I would say if you're in high school, you should probably check in with your counselor just to see where you're at in terms of A through G, but also, do I have all the credits come over? If you're coming from outside the district, make sure that they do have
Yeah.
a copy of your transcripts. That's
And
important.
one of the things that I want to say to parents is that you really want to make sure that you check that transcript. Even if you've been in Long Beach, for 10 years or whatever, you want to make sure that you're checking your child's transcript every semester, because you want to make sure that the classes that your student actually took are on the transcript. So that is very key, because we get a lot of, because I know we have Canvas and, parents are looking at the Canvas grades. Those are not the final grades. The final grades are what is on that transcript. And you can access that via Parent View.
You must have read my mind, because that's exactly what I was going to ask you. So
Yeah.
parent logs on to Parent View. I believe there's a drop down. It says reports, maybe. So I believe it's under reports. If you need some help with that, you can call our office.
There may
Certainly,
be
or
a tab for parchment too.
parchment.
Yeah,
Okay, that'll be good. And I know it's an unofficial transcript,
Yes.
but you can still see that information.
Absolutely.
And if you need help, your counselor at your school can help you access that.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. We had a question, I think it was answered, about Cal State Long Beach. We have another question about study skills in middle school. You know how middle schoolers are, because you've had middle schoolers, I've had middle schoolers. They don't always take advice from their parents, but somehow hearing it from other people might be beneficial. How can a middle schooler get some study skill advice? So we've said it's important to get some study skills. What would you tell a middle school? Like, hey, practice study skills, but they may not know what that means. I'm thinking it's read every day, stay off your phone, make sure you've devoted that time. I've always told my kids, be the hardest working kid in the room. Someone else is going to come take your job if you're not working hard. Things like that might be helpful.
Make sure you know how to take notes.
Oh,
That
huge.
is so key.
And stay organized.
And stay organized. Yes, and make sure that your site, because one of the things with, and I'm not going to get too deep, but one of the issues that one of my children had was turning in assignments.
Yes.
And they were in the backpack.
In the black hole, the
Yeah,
bottom
in
part
the
of the back. Yeah, I know
Yeah,
that
yeah.
deep part of the backpack where like, what is this down here?
Yes. So
Been there and done that.
Yeah. So it's organization is key, and there are a lot of organizational classes you can take. Even at our community college for dual enrollment, instead of pushing to get to accelerate in math, take a study skills course.
I think that's wonderful. And parents, check those backpacks, right?
And absolutely.
Once a week.
Parents, please check your backpack. Check those
even
backpacks.
for the food wrappers. The food wrappers down there,
I can't tell you how many sandwiches I found.
Yeah. Our chat is slowing down. Let me go to the booth and see if there's any other questions. And again, parents, this will be kind of our last chance to put something in the chat if we've got some more questions to answer. Sure, we can talk about that. So there is a question regarding FAFSA, which is how you're going to get federal student aid. My understanding, Dr. Johnson, things have changed slightly this year, and the FAFSA looks different. So I know it's different than previous years. So that's important to know. And then how do students go about looking for scholarships?
So as far as FAFSA goes, it's going to open in December. And from what I've read so far, it's not going to be as challenging to get through as it has been in years past. They've cut it down quite a bit. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yes.
So if you have a senior, start looking out for that on the website so that you know exactly what documents you need. And I know I referenced that a little bit in the video. And as far as scholarships go, I'm very, very passionate about scholarships, because I'm going to tell you, there's so much free money out there that goes unclaimed. But it's planning, and it's really like a job,
Sure.
And kind of going back to the essays, if your student has a couple of essays, sometimes they can cut and paste, and it's just kind of like a factory.
Awesome.
For applying for scholarships. If your child is not a senior, and let's say your child's a 9th or 10th grader, and I mentioned this in the video, start an electronic file cabinet, because a lot of scholarships that are out there, especially a lot of our community scholarships, are they're offered at the same time. every year.
Yeah.
So you can start that electronic file cabinet, or if you're like me, an old school file cabinet where you just print them offline and put them in a file, and then you know when they're going to be available, and then you can just boom, 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 apply senior year. And some scholarships you can apply for as early as ninth grade.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's
Yeah.
great. And I would say too, from a student perspective, especially high schooler, but eighth graders can do it too, seventh graders, that electronic file, don't wait for your parents to do it. You need to write down all the things you're doing. You might forget about the time that you
Yes.
volunteered to go help your elementary school with
Yes.
their spring fair. The time you volunteered for this. Any of those things should write down, because I know that will help you in writing your essays, but also those of you getting involved in just whether it's sports or different clubs, they're going to want to know what you're passionate about, but also what you've done. You'll forget.
Right.
I don't.
That's right.
I have a hard time remember what happened last week. So, but I think that's good to put that down there for parents. So, I think our chat is slower. I think that's all we have. I know there's a lot of things that everybody could be doing. So I appreciate that we had, I think, over 100 people at one point on our stream really taking the time to chat with us. I feel like I'm in your office just chatting about what we do every day. So give you a couple of ways to contact us. You can get a hold of our office. You can go to parentu@lbschools.net. So that's how you can get a hold of us on our website. And then you can either call our choice helpline. We can help you there. Or you can call our Parent U line. And I know the number is online at Seats, if I remember, 562-997. I want to say it's 8360 or 06, but if you go online, you can take a look at that. And that information is there for you. So if you have any questions, again, we appreciate all of you joining us, and you'll find this live posted probably tomorrow. So thank you, Dr. Johnson. This was good. We need to take our show on the road.
All right, I'm ready.
This sounds really wonderful. Thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next time. Take care. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.